what's happening. Okay, okay, okay. Does everyone have the sheet? And you erased the data in those last 4 columns. Thank you, Shelly. Thank you, Stephanie. Thumbs up is fine. Typing it in the chat is fine. I'll give you guys like 30 more seconds to get this because you really need to do it hands-on for the first time so you understand what's happening. Thank you, Jade. Thank you, Cheryl. Thank you, Nicolette. It's a fun last name, Terzies. Okay, so the yeses are rolling in. So I'm going to go back and go slow for those of you that are still working. Can you just do a quick review of the steps? Yes, Jill, I can. You're in the slides. In the slides, you're going to go to the one that says get the add-on. So that'll open up sheets for you. And you're going to get the Autocrat add-on. And then where it says copy this sheet, you're going to click on the sheet and it'll make a force copy for you of all of the responses from the Google form that we filled out at the beginning. And then you're going to delete those last columns that have all the, document merged, document created, because we're going to set up your own Autocrat and I don't want it to mess with any of your stuff. Okay, so now I would like you guys to go back to the slides and click on copy this template. This template is actually just a copy of the award that came to you guys, and this is going to speed up production, so to speak. So here it is. Congratulations, first name, last name of school. You have been voted most word. And I know that looks funny right now, but I promise it'll make sense in the end. Just think back to the certificates that you've already received. They actually had this information filled in, so I know it'll make sense for you. So you're just going to click use template, and then it'll open up your own copy of the Sheets and Autocrat award, and it'll be titled that, so you'll be good to go. So I'm going to give you guys another 20-ish seconds to copy that. No delay, Elizabeth. There's a lot of going back and forth. And because this is such a process, I want to make sure everybody's on the same page before we continue. But once you know how to do it, you'll be able to do it super fast. Okay. If you have the award template in your drive, go ahead and give me a yes or a thumbs up. Yes. Okay, great. All right, most of those are coming in. Thank you, thank you. All right, so we're going to go back to the presentation. And now we're going to go to your Google Drive, go to new, go to folder, and then name it iCon 2020 Sheets and Autocrat. So if you just open up your Google Drive, you're going to do a new folder, because when you create the Autocrat, you want all of the responses to go to a specific place. Otherwise, they're just going to clog up your drive and you don't have space for that. Okay, so you're just going to go to new, and then you're going to go to folder. And if you don't want to name it iCon 2020 Sheets and Autocrat, name it whatever you want, but just new folder, and then type in whatever you want to call it. Once my drive, there we go, gets with me, we'll do it. So I'm just going to call this iCon example, and then I'm going to click create. Anytime you create an Autocrat, you want to make sure that you have the folder for your responses already done. You need to make sure you have the folder for your responses already done. If you don't, they're not going to go where you want them to, and you'll have to organize everything later. So if you take this step ahead of time, it will organize everything for you automatically. Okay, so let me check back in the meet and make sure everybody's ready. Did everyone create the file in your Google Drive? Thumbs up or yes if you've got the file in your Google Drive. Yes. Okay, I'll get a few more yeses, give everybody some time to get things done, because I know there's a lot going on. Sarah, I see you just got back because your Wi-Fi shut down. If you make a copy of the sheet and then make a copy of the award template and then make a folder in your drive for everything to go to, we'll be able to organize everything. Paula, don't stress. It's okay. It's okay. I'll give you guys another minute or two to get all of those steps done. So make a copy of the sheet, delete the gobbledygook on the end, get the Autocrat add-on, make a copy of the award template, create the folder in your drive. Those 4 steps. Now, when you're creating your own Autocrat, you're not going to have all of these templates already done. So you are going to have to, design things ahead of time. So you'll need to go ahead and create the award or the letter or whatever it is that you want the information to be filtered into. You're going to need to have the Google form to get all of the data. All of these little mini steps go into creating it. But once you have all of those steps in place or all those pieces in place, the final product or the big picture is it doing it on its own, and it works seamlessly, which is great. South actually uses this system to send out tardy detention notices, ID fines, goodness gracious, there's a list of things I can't even, they're all in my drive. I'll have to show you some of them, but it does everything on its own, which is even better. Okay, so it's been about 2 minutes. So I'm going to go back to the slides. So you've got it in your Google Drive. Hopefully you've got a folder ready to this. So now we're going to go to the Autocrat, and I'm going to show you guys how to set this up step by step. So go to your copied sheet, the one that looks like this with everyone's name on it. Okay. And then we're going to go to add-ons, Autocrat, launch. So after you've installed Autocrat, you have to launch it every time that you create one. But if you set it up properly when you create it, it will run on its own without you having to do any work. So you can see I already have an existing job, but you guys probably don't. So we're going to click a new job. New job. So then it's going to give me the options to generate a new job. And here's what I'm going to do. And it literally takes you step by step. So the very first thing, I'm going to name my job. So I'm going to name it iCon Autocrat Example. You can name it whatever you want. Just make sure that the name you give it is something that will explain what it is, because like I said, they're all going to go to your drive and you want to know what it is that it's doing. Okay, so then we're going to hit next. Let me check in the meet. Do I need to slow down? Is everybody okay? Okay, I'm not hearing any slowdown, so I'm going to keep going. All right, so back in my Autocrat here. Oh, man, did I just close it? That's okay. I can do it from this one because it'll look the same. Okay, so we're back in our Autocrat. I'm going to insert a column to the left. Right, sorry, I do no directions. Okay, so add-ons, Autocrat. We're going to launch Autocrat. We're going to click on new job. We're going to name our job. And then we're going to hit next, and it's going to take us to step 2 where we get to pick stuff. Okay, so icon example. So then next, so now in step 2, we're going to choose a template. So I'm going to go from my drive, and I would like you guys to choose the copy of the award that you just made. Okay, so Sheets and Autocrat award, and you're going to hit select. So once you do that, it's going to tell you that it's fetching tags. Now, tags are the information that we're going to match up. Okay, so here it is. I've selected it, and I'm going to hit next. So now it tells me I need to map the data. So from school, I'm going to have it mapped to school. And this part's pretty self-explanatory. First name matches to first name, last name matches to last name. And then your word matches to describing yourself in one word. Okay, so we're going to leave all of this at standard. We're not going to touch anything at the top. We are literally just finding the information to map it to name, word, school. Okay, everybody good? All right, so we're going to hit next. Now we're going to do file settings. This is how you tell Autocrat how to name the file. So you can do it in two ways. You can have it fetch the first name, last name tags. Okay, so what is your first name? And then what is your last name? So that means it's going to save with the person's first name and the last name. So it would be like Lashaka is my first name, Wesley Hosier last name, and then award. Okay, so then I'm going to, here you have options. You can save it as a PDF or a Google slide. I normally do Google Slides in big batches because it takes up less memory, so it goes a lot faster. But you can also do it as a PDF, your choice. Okay, we're going to hit next. And now it's going to say, where do you want to put it? And this is why it's so important that we created that folder first. Autocrat does not give you the option to create a folder while you're here. So you have to make sure you already have the folder for them to go to. So there's my iCon example folder. I'm going to hit select. And then it still says it's also going to go to my drive. I don't want it to do that. So we're going to trash my drive. Yes. So now I should only have one folder up there, whatever folder you picked for today for this example. And then I'm going to click next. I don't need a dynamic folder reference, so we're going to skip that. I don't need a merge condition. We're going to skip that. Now, here's the fun part. Do we want it to share and send emails? Yes, we want it to share. I want to share it as a view-only doc, or you can share it as a PDF, your choice. So I'm going to share it as a view-only doc. Do I want my collaborators to reshare? Meaning, the people that it sends it to, do I want you guys to be able to send it out? No. This is super important. Send from a generic no reply address. Yes. Yes, yes, yes. Otherwise, it's going to go from your address, and then people are going to respond to you when they get things, and you don't want that. You want it to come from the no reply address. Now, here where it says to, we're going to come to our tags, and we're going to click email address, and then we're just going to paste that in there. So now all of those email addresses from the Google form, that's who it's going to go to. I don't need to CC anybody. I don't need to BCC. I definitely don't need to reply. I'm going to type in my subject, iCon award, and then I can type in a message. So here's your award. Okay, so then we're going to click next. Now, run on form trigger. That means every time the form is filled out, we want this to run. Yes. Every time you guys filled out the form, I told it to run so that everyone got one. Okay, now, because I don't want 32 emails from people about my award, and I know you guys don't want them either, I don't want you to actually save this, because if you do, then as you continue, it'll send people awards. I don't want that. But traditionally, you would hit save. So I'm going to hit save, but you don't hit save. Okay, don't hit save. So now it's saving my job. And now every time this form is filled out, it's going to magically send you guys awards. Okay, so it's saving, it's doing its thing. So now you can see I have two jobs. So if I wanted to, I could hit play. And if I hit run job, now it's going to create the awards like it did earlier for you guys. Now, while it's doing that, I'm going to come see how it's magically working here. Merge doc, merge doc. Here's my link. Here it is starting. Okay. So that's all of the stuff that it's automatically going to do because I set it on form trigger. While that's working, let me come back to the meet because I know I went like step by step there. But does anyone have any questions about the process or where we are or what needs to happen? Yes? No? You can unmic and ask them out loud. You don't have to type them. Can you run through steps 5 to the end?
I had a question real quick. So I saw that whenever you were going through and you were setting up the, I guess the triggers or whatever, like the the things with the little carrots on the end, will it automatically like pick up on those little carrots and be able to like find that in your document and your template?
Yes. So those greater than, less than signs that are in the template, notice for first name, it has two less than signs, first name, two greater than signs. So those are what Autocrat calls tags. So then when we mapped them in step 3, we matched the tags to the answers on the form. So that tells the Autocrat what information to put in that specific spot on your template.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Okay, so I'm going to go back one more time and show you guys steps 3 through 5 because or 4. So I'm going to start at step 4 and go to the end so you guys can see. I'm going to cancel that because it's doing whatever it's doing. Okay, so I'm going to go back to add-ons, Autocrat, open. So once you have a job created on a sheet, you're not going to hit launch anymore. You're going to hit open so that you can edit the settings. Now notice I exited out of the Autocrat, but it's still doing what it's going to do. So you guys are going to get another email with your certificate. So, just feel super extra, whatever your word was, that you're getting one. Okay, so I'm going to hit on the pencil so I can go back and edit. And it's just going to take me through the same steps. So I've named it. I've chosen my template. So now here I am in step 3 where I mapped the words from my template onto the questions from the Google form. Okay. In step 4, I can tell it what I want it to name things. So right now, see how it says first name question mark, last name question mark? That's because that's not what the tags are. Here, the tags are what is your first name? What is your last name? So I'm going to, if you click this blue arrow here and you click on this, that copies it. I'm going to paste it right there. And then I'm going to take out last name. So now I just have first name award and I'm saving it as a PDF. So then I'm going to hit next, choose destination. Now I already have a folder here for Autocrat awards, but you guys would go in to choose folder and then you would pick the folder that you created when I said go to your Google Drive and make a folder. So I called mine iCon example. Okay. So if I did this, it would save in 2 different places. So just know that you just need to add your folder and then hit next. Now, step 6, we don't need to do. Notice it's optional. I don't even mess with step 6 because it's just going to mess up whatever I'm doing. So we're skipping that. Merge conditions for beginner, we're skipping that as well. Also optional, not messing with it. Step 8, this is where we can decide if we're going to share it or not. If you click no, then you can just move forward and you don't have to answer any of these questions. But since we told it to share, we're going to share it as a PDF. I don't want you guys to be able to reshare it, so I clicked no. I want it to come from a generic no reply address. So if you look in your email, it's going to say no reply at garlandisd.net. It doesn't say LD Wesley. It says no reply. Okay. And then I told it to go to your email addresses by clicking this blue bar, clicking email address, and then pasting it in there to make sure that I didn't mess up any of the spelling. That's the easiest way to do it, is to just copy and paste. And then I did my title. And this title that I typed in bold here is the title that you guys saw on the email when we sent it. Okay, so then I'm going to hit next. I have it run on a form trigger. So form trigger means every time someone fills out the form, it's going to tell Autocrat, hey, you need to send this. Yes. Okay, I do that every time. Now, the other option is to run on a time trigger. And that means every day at 10 o'clock or every day, whatever time you set it to, it will do all of the ones it hasn't done. I like to do them as soon as they come in. Then it's less for Autocrat to worry about. That's up to you. The other option is to have no triggers and you go in and run it manually. Okay, so then you just hit save and then it will save and it will do everything on its own. Okay, what's Form Publisher? I don't use Form Publisher. I've only ever tried the Autocrat with copy and paste because I like that one better. Just because of the freedom with the templates. Because you can make a template in Word, you can make a template in Docs, you can make a template in Slides, And I prefer to do it in slides because you have a little more freedom with pictures and backgrounds and things, but it's completely up to you. And once you have the template, you can make Autocrat run on its own. You're welcome, Elizabeth. I know the first time you do it, you're like, oh my gosh, what is happening? But it gets easier every time you do it. Speaking of which, I'm going to go to my drive and I'm going to show you guys some of the other Autocrat things. So if I go to, not that one, I want to go to the one-to-one drive so I can go to forms for admin. So if I go to my one-to-one folder on my Google Drive, okay, and then I go to forms for admin and school, it's going to show me a bazillion different things. And this is where I have all my stuff go. So we have detention notices, we have absence corrections, we have missing student notices, tardy forms, spec sheets, forms for attendance, credit recovery. All of this is done with Autocrat, all of it. So here's an example of what an absence correction looks like. So I created the template in slides the same way I did for the award template. I put in, you know, student first name, student last name, ID, date, whatever, and I told it how to save it. And this is what the template looks like. And then the teachers get the filled out version of this. So here you go. Here's the teacher that submitted it. There's the kid. I'm going to have to blur that out in the recording. So there you go. That's all the information in the absence correction. And that's just saying he was present and this is what happened. He wasn't really absent, even though I marked him absent. And so the teachers get that copy automatically. So even if I'm in an appointment with admin or with another teacher, all of these things are running in the background. And the teachers know that they submitted it. Admin knows that it was submitted, and the secretaries know that it was submitted. Okay. Girl, yes. Miss Garcia, I'm telling you, this year's old. Correct. Okay. Does anyone else have any questions about how to make this work, the templates, designs? Oh, thank you, Miss Lucow. Anybody? Anything I can help with?
I have another question.
Sure.
So our Ready One-to-One coach at Naaman made us an Autocrat form for Avid, and okay. It's their Focus Friday thing. Basically, it's like their tell us your lowest grade, and it sends a notification of it. It does this with a drop down list of like teachers or whatever. So my question to you is, how did our Ready One-to-One coach do that? Like how, like they didn't make it to where the kid had to share it to the email address or whatever. They selected it on their Google form. How did she do that?
Okay, so if I go to my Google form here, and I look at my questions, these are all of the labels that I put there. But if I type in, now this might be a little more advanced because you have two sheets talking to one another. But if the kids go in and they just select like their English teacher, Miss Smith, for example, what you can tell it to do is it will then look up from another sheet Miss Smith's email. So it'll type in Miss Smith, and then another sheet will populate the answer to Miss Smith's email. And then from that, the Autocrat will send it to whatever email address you tell it to. So when I told it, when I was creating it and I said email to email address, if you go in and you have one of those tags be like your English teacher, your science teacher, your math teacher, and you tell it to email it to all of those people, it'll do whatever you tell it to do. So I've had sheets like on the missing student one, the teacher gets a copy and then the student's administrator gets an immediate copy. But in order to make that happen, I had to have a list of students with their administrators because obviously not every kid has the same administrator. And so once they typed in the student ID and that filled the information in, then there was a VLOOKUP formula in the Excel sheet or in the Google sheet to pull the information from another sheet to get the administrator's email to send it out. So that's probably what Miss Hamilton did, is make 2 sheets talk to each other.
Okay. And then I guess my next question, well, on the, could you also do it with the equal than, greater than, less, whatever signs? Like, you, on the sheet specifically, like, they got a chance to, like, who's the teacher, and it said their name, and then it said their email address out to the side in,
Then
in
yes,
greater
you
than,
can do
less
it that
than.
way. So if you have your, like, a person, whoever is filling out the Google form, if you have the fillee include that information, then you can embed that information in the form with the tags and have it go to whoever you want. But to make that happen, the person who's filling out the Google form has to know the email addresses. Otherwise, they won't be correct and they won't get emailed. Does that make sense?
Yes, but like, it already, okay, so it, say for example, it said Sarah Harmon, then it had 2 less than signs, SM Harmon at garlandisd.net, 2 greater than signs. It had that in the Google form as, like, it was like a
choice,
drop down menu, basically, of like, who's the teacher.
Got you. Then yeah, you would just have to tell the like, when you go to share the document, you just need to tell it to send to whatever teacher you want. Because you can have it send to multiple addresses. You just need to tell it that when you do a send, and just like put email address 1 with a comma and a space, and then email address 2, comma, space. You can send it to, up to 50 people if you wanted.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions?
I joined, or I was kind of monitoring because I was doing 2 sessions.
Okay.
Was there a list of like uses for it? I know you were doing like an award, kind of like you accomplished a task.
So really, you are limited.
Like uses, I guess, is, from the creative side, like how would I?
You are limited by your imagination. So basically, anything that you wanted to use it for, you could. Like I said, we use it for detentions, tardy notices, fees, missing students, awards. I've had it sent to students on Fridays, like from Google Classroom. If you have a spreadsheet of their grades, I can send them a report of all of their assignments with all of their grades. Anything that you can put data into a spreadsheet about, you can send an Autocrat for.
Okay. Yeah, because you showed your folder where you had those examples, but then you were, of course, going deeper, and so I didn't kind of get that.
Yeah, you can, anything that you can manipulate data about, you can put it in the Autocrat for. You just have to create the template. I'm sure if you Googled Autocrat templates, lots would come up. There's probably people on Pinterest who have talked about whatever. Anytime people are like, oh, well, we need to get this information out. Oh, we'll just do an Autocrat. Like for psycho recovery, for example, the students have to have a sheet of paper that has their course number and their ID that they give to the Edgenuity teacher. That's an Autocrat. The counselors just fill out a Google form, and then that's generated for them, and they just print it instead of having to fill it out by hand every time. I've used it to do awards for students, quizzes that are auto-graded. So if I do a Google form quiz, once they get their thing, if they have above a 70, then I send them a certificate saying, hey, you've passed, especially if it was like a pre-quiz, and then they didn't have to do whatever lesson I was teaching for the day. Literally, you are only limited by your imagination. Anything that you can have data for, you can do an Autocrat for.
Thank you.
Yeah. Any other questions? Yes, I did take attendance.
What is your Twitter handle?
Oh, I'll put it in the chat for you guys. It is at Miss Wesley Hosier. And then the very last slide of the presentation is, I also have the steps for Autocrat in the slides for you guys. So when you're doing it without me, you'll be like, oh my gosh, I know what she did. Here's the feedback form. And then my link to my Twitter is also underneath my little Bitmoji. So if you just click on the bird, it'll take you straight to my Twitter. So if you guys would do the feedback form for me, that would be great. You've got the Twitter. I've already taken attendance. It's recording. I have attendance, so I will send out a link to the recording as well as a link to all of my other slides from today's sessions and the other recordings that I've done today. You probably will get that email this evening once all the videos are uploaded to YouTube. So it'll be 2 PDFs. One is all the slides, one is the recording information, and that will be done with an Autocrat. I'll basically just put all of your email addresses in there and have it run and send you that stuff on its own. Gina and I have one for people who fill out our webinar back channel. You know, it says, oh, thank you for asking a question. Here's the answer. Here's your question. And then it has pictures of us in there. I mean, you guys can do literally anything with this. So if nobody else has any questions, thank you for coming. Do you know? They should be recorded. Now, with that being said, I clicked record on my last session and it only recorded like 5 minutes and then stopped. But they are all being recorded. And absolutely, Miss Villarreal, you can. The digital learning team is going to take them and put them into some type of catalog like they did with all of the webinars that we were offering during the school year. So if you missed something else that you wanted to see, you'll be able to access everything later. Yeah, I was excited too because there were some sessions that I wanted to see that were going on while I was presenting. So I was like, oh, I'll have to catch the video later. Any other questions? Any other ways I can help? Okay, if you have a question not about this, but just about something techie in general or just need help, please email me. I'm happy to answer questions, happy to reach out. So I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your sessions and have a great afternoon. Thanks, guys.